preaching from 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Got one verse to read, and then we'll see where it goes. It's page 1220 if you have a Schofield Bible. 1 Corinthians chapter 10. We'll read verse number 13. It says, "There hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will be tempted, but with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it." Amen. The thought that I've got tonight is temptations. The sad thing is, we've all got our temptations. We are all tempted by something along the lines. It doesn't matter what it is, how big or how small that it is. Temptation simply is the desire to do something, especially something that is wrong or that is unwise. We all have our temptations if we're honest. That's the sad fact. It may not be the same temptation for one person as it is for another, but the fact is we all have our temptations. We all have our weaknesses. But being tempted, that's not the sin. The sin is when we actually give into those temptations. That's when it becomes sin. It's almost like a woodpecker. It's a very interesting animal or bird. It always makes a loud rat-a-tat-tat noise when it's drilling into the trees, but its primary goal when it's drilling into those trees is to pull the sap out so it can actually get a hold of the bugs. And when it's going through the suitable tree or finds a suitable tree, it's looking for the specific spot, something not too hard but at the same time not too soft. It's looking for a place that's just right, that's going to pull out the sap, that's going to actually draw in the bugs so it can actually have its food, so it can eat. That's the way Satan uses temptations for each and every one of us. If one thing doesn't affect you, he'll move over on the tree a little bit and he'll find another temptation that might get you. It doesn't matter what it is. It's like our flesh. We are tempted by our flesh. Some we can even call it pleasure. It might be fornication. It might be adultery. It might even be lust. We can read in 1 John chapter 2, verse 16. It says, "For all that is in this world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world." Then you also have other temptations such as drugs or alcohol, tobacco products, or anything like that. And the sad thing is, this can get a hold of anybody. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how big or small. It doesn't even matter your background in your family. We all have our temptations. Lord knows I can think of a couple people right now because they have fallen into some of these temptations. We can look at them. We can see how it's aged them. And I'm not just talking about a little bit. It makes them look substantially older than they actually are. And I'm not talking about maturity-wise either when it comes to standards. But we could all fall into those temptations. There's not any of us that's above it. We are not above addiction. That's the sad fact. We are not above sin. We can read it says, "For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God." We can be tempted, or when we are tempted, it's pretty much to fulfill the desires of our hearts. It doesn't matter how bad it may be or how wicked or even how vile it is. That's when our temptations really become a problem. Then you also have other temptations like lying or cheating or stealing or, sadly, buying things that you can't afford. You know that you don't need it, yet you keep throwing the money towards it. You don't need it that bad. I can't remember how it was. My brother we was talking this week, and he was talking about wanting to pull away from something. And basically what it boiled down to is he asked this simple question: does what I'm doing, does that please God? And that's the question for each and every one of us. Does whatever we're doing, is it going to please God? Thank you.